Greetings all and welcome to Dave's Craft Room. I'm Dave, and on today's video, I am finishing this UFO. This is actually not even really a UFO. In a previous video, I introduced my new series where I get UFOs from eBay and I finish them. And in this case, I mean, you can't really call this a UFO. These are just random quilt blocks that people were selling on eBay. I bought them. I'm going to sew them up into a quilt. They will no longer be orphan blocks. They will find their families. And I don't know how big the quilt will be or what it will look like. We're about to find out. These blocks are kind of old and some of them are kind of falling apart. And so we're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. Maybe interfacing them may make them stronger, or maybe fusing them to a foundation and then quilting the life out of it may make them better. I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go. These came from different lots on eBay. This was one set, this was another set, and then this was another set. So these are not, I mean, they're not a UFO from one project. These are literally just blocks. So let's get into it. I guess I'll show you the blocks from above so you can see the blocks, so you can see the challenge that lays before me. All right, people, let's start here. These are flowers, and these flowers have been hand-pieced like this because I've done a hexie quilt before with English paper piecing, but these were not English paper pieced. These were old-fashioned pieced, and I feel like some of this might have been men's shirts or from clothing, just based off of some of the material. This feels like it might have been from clothing, and some of the patterns just look like they could be men's shirt like this. And of course, we know that in the olden days, they did take clothing, you know, I guess instead of throw it out, they would probably cut it up once it was no good to wear anymore. The only thing I can think to do with these is probably applique them on. I'm not going to sit there and try to piece them together like they would have done, you know, like the original intention for this quilt probably was to piece them. We're not doing that. I can tell you that for sure. But we may applique these on. And then here are some of the other quilt blocks. I mean, they don't lay flat, and I know that in the olden days, they didn't have rotary cutters. They were cutting the pieces with scissors. It was extremely difficult to get them accurate. If you think about cutting it with scissors, you're not going to be perfect, but we can use it. You know what? I can trim it. I may cut the points off, but it's whatever. I'll get it in the quilt. I like these. They look so vintage. And they're probably in worse shape now than they were when they were originally made because of the fraying on the edges. Okay. That's interesting. I honestly would have expected to see a seam here because of flying geese, but there's not. That was a whole triangle piece cut there. Okay, these are huge. Yeah, see how it doesn't lay flat? It's a little wonky, but we'll iron it and we'll coax it into position and it'll be okay. It'll work for my quilt. I may interface them. And here we go. These are huge. I would have loved to see a finished quilt like this. This is good. These have a border so that if I trim it, I won't be trimming off the actual block, just the border. What does that say? Go. Oh, good. Good luck. Some of the ones were pieced by hand and some by machine. These two were pieced by hand, and these are actually very accurate. This fabric, when I compare it in my mind to quilts that I know are from the 40s, to me this seems like it was from the 40s, but it could have been from many different eras. And see, this is kind of what I mean. This fabric is so thin. Look, you can see my fingers through it. So I feel like we have to interface it or sew it to a foundation or something to make it more strong. Here this person did curved piecing, and this block does not lay flat at all. Imagine how hard it would be to do curved piecing without modern tools. Just cutting the pieces out with scissors and then hand sewing them. I mean, these people were literally just needle and thread and a scissors, and they probably marked the fabric with pencil or something. Here's another curved piece block. If I'm going to use this, I would have no choice other than to trim it. Hopefully that will make it lay flat. Oh my gosh, look at this. This one is so cool. So it looks like this kind of triangle piece is one portion of this, and then there's 12 of these. These were hand pieced. See the hand stitching? And then yeah, there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this circle was turn edge applique on. This is stunning. I would love to see a whole quilt like this, and I would also consider even making a scrap quilt like this, or with this block. I'm gonna have to ask my mom what this type of block is called. She'll probably tell me it's a pinwheel. There's so many different kinds of pinwheel blocks though that it would be hard to tell. So that was all one eBay lot. Now let's go to, this is a whole different person's blocks here that I'm gonna show now. Okay, these have names on them. Hopefully these people are not concerned about their names showing up, but Bertie Caldwell. I mean, this is a little alarming because were these meant to go in a friendship quilt and then they never finished the friendship quilt? Juanita Hannity, Brenda Day, Jean Love. I love the last name Love. Oh, this fabric is definitely feels like, it's definitely not quilter's cotton. I don't know what it is though. Jean Love, Grace Pittman, Maureen May, Laverne Doyle. Some of these, this is just Sharpie marker, whereas this is embroidered on. That's interesting. Bertie Caldwell. Didn't we have Bertie Caldwell already? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? I feel better now. Do you know why? I feel like these were just practice blocks, right? Because we have 2 different ones with Bertie Caldwell. That to me says these are just practice blocks. I bet you they made the friendship quilt, and they finished it, and they gave it to the person, and then these are just extra blocks. Okay, that's better. Yeah, matter of fact, and here we have 2 of Trixie Haney. Trixie Haney. That's good. I bet you that's the case. I bet you that those were practice blocks, and the real ones, the finished blocks, made it into the finished quilt that they make. That's the story I'm gonna tell myself. Okay, these colors are not my favorite. Blue, red, and yellow, but work. How are these pieced? These are pieced by machine. Okay, we have more names. Margie Taylor and Julia Faye Taylor. Okay, so they might be mother-daughter or mother-daughter-in-law, a sister-in-law or something. Okay, so let's get everything up on the design wall. Let's just throw it up there first, and then we'll move things around and come up with a design and see what looks good and proceed thusly. All right, the filler fabric is gonna be this plaid and sometimes this mustache. See that? We're gonna sew it up, and then if there's gaps, we'll fill in the gaps with these. That's really all there is to it. Sew them into neighborhoods. I also call those chunks. Trim them to make them perfect and just get to sewing. So let's do it. Oh, I don't know. I couldn't fit Bertie Caldwell in, so Bertie Caldwell might have to sit out. Sorry, Bertie. Well, maybe she can go up here, one of them. I only need probably one Bertie Caldwell. Or sorry, Bertie Caldwell. Oh, let's trim these a little bit weird. I found a place for Birdie Caldwell. At some point on the journey of this quilt, I decided that those flower blocks that I showed in the beginning of this video were not going to fit in anywhere in this quilt. And so I'm saving them for another project later where I'll come up with some way to use them and finish that UFO. And by the way, if you like my videos, I publish new quilting videos like this every other Tuesday, and please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Alright, all the big chunks are done. Now it's just a matter of sewing them all up. So, let's do it. Oh, it just started pouring. Oh my gosh, we are rainy day quilting today. It just started pouring out right as I started the camera. Oh my gosh, that was it. Finished. The top. Good. Let's get it sandwiched. I did spray baste it already off camera, but I'm gonna still add a couple of safety pins to be safe. Alright, we're doing a binding, and I haven't done a proper binding in a long time because I like to do the inside out situation, but I felt like this quilt called for a binding. Blue color, I like to sew it onto the back and then bring it around to the front and top stitch it down on the front because that's the way I like to do it. I do not like to miter the corners either. I do folded over corners. So let's go. This is the final result. I think it turned out so stunning. And that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you for coming to Dave's Craft Room. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and please come again.